Welcome to Science Grade 7 Quarter 4, Module 1. In this video lesson, we are going to study how can we locate places on Earth using a coordinated system. We will also conduct a review on the imaginary lines that can be found on a map and a globe. And using those imaginary lines, we are going to locate places on Earth. Let's begin. Ever wonder why different places experience different weather? Why do other countries experience snow? And why in our country we doesn't experience those phenomenon? This phenomenon has something to do with the position of a place on Earth. But how can we find the location of a place on Earth? That's right, using different tools like compass, map, GPS, globe, etc. But in our lesson, we're going to focus on the use of map and globe in locating different places. But before that, let us answer this activity. In this figure, Roberto and Angelita, both grade 7 students of Castillo High School, are standing at a major crossroads and facing north as shown below. They will visit different places in their hometown. Help them find out those places by determining the exact location relative to their position. Which place is to their east? That's correct. The basketball court. How about which place is to their west? Right. Jeepney station. How about the place to their south? Their south is market. That's correct. How about which place is to their northwest? Northwest? Correct. River. Excellent. The northwest is between the north and west. And lastly, how about their southeast? Their southeast is farm. Very good. Now that you show your skill in locating places, let's now read. Let's now read this conversation of Roberto and Angelita. Starting from left, going to right, the conversation starts from Roberto saying, "Hello, Angelita. Are you already on your way?" And Angelita answers Roberto, "Hmm, yes, Roberto. Be there in an hour." Roberto replied with, "I'm here at M. Del Rosario Street, Longos, Bolilan, Bulacan. How about you?" Angelita suddenly replied, "Currently at 14 degrees north and 120 degrees east." And Roberto left hanging with a question, "Did you say it correctly?" Now let us answer the guide questions. Who answered postal address and global address? And number two, what do you think is the difference of those two addresses? Every place and location on Earth has a global address. No matter what language people might speak, they can communicate about their location because the address is in numbers. So the global address is given as two numbers called coordinates. And using these coordinates, you can tell where is the place located on Earth. The two numbers are the location's latitude number and its longitude number. In this conversation, they both gave their exact location, but Angelisa answered which is 14 degrees north and 120 degrees east is an example of a global address, while Roberto is an example answers is an example of postal address. Now let us reintroduce you with a map and a globe. So map is a two-dimensional graphical representation of an area, land, and sea, depicting its physical features, while globe is a three-dimensional spherical model of the Earth. Now, what they observe common between globe and a map? Correct, they both can use to locate places. But how can we locate places on both end maps? Do you find other similarity? Yes, they both have lines. So what are these lines for? These lines are called the imaginary line. It is the latitude and the longitude measured in degrees. The imaginary line is the line used in locating places on Earth. Now, let's start with the latitude. Latitude is a horizontal line that runs from east to west of a map or a globe. Since the Earth is a sphere, the distance between any place on a globe is measured in degrees. Equator is the starting line or the reference point in measuring the latitude. That is why it's measured 0 degrees. So the equator divides the Earth into two hemispheres. Above the equator is the northern hemisphere, and below the equator is the southern hemisphere. And the latitude of a place has something to do with its climate. The tropics, the countries located in this zone, experience a tropical climate where the annual average temperature is above 18 degrees Celsius. So the Tropic of Cancer, just right above the equator, and the Tropic of Capricorn, below the equator. Those areas are what we call the tropics. Now, below the Tropic of Capricorn, going to Antarctic Circle, and Tropic of Cancer, going to Arctic Circle, is what we call the northern and southern temperate zone. Countries in this zone experience the four seasons. They experience snow, and above the southern and northern temperate zone is what we call the polar or frigid zone. This country experiences cold temperature all year. Now let's talk about the longitude. So longitude is a vertical imaginary line that runs from north to south of a map or a globe. So our reference point for the longitude is the prime meridian. The prime meridian divides the Earth into another two hemispheres, the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. They both measure 180 degrees from the reference point, which is the prime meridian. Now let us practice locating places using a coordinate system x and y. In this figure below, we can say that our latitude is the x, the line horizontal, and then our longitude y, the line vertical. Now let's find out where is their x and y axis. First is the farm. The x-axis of the farm is 2 and its y-axis is 6. Right. Next one, 4, we have 4, 4. 4 is museum. Excellent. How about the home. So home is 7, 7. How about the market? The market has the 5, 7. And lastly, 7, 5 is the river. Very good. Now before locating places using a coordinate system, let us first understand the steps on how we can determine place, latitude and longitude on a map or a globe. Here are the steps in determining latitude and longitude coordinates on a map or a globe. First step is to spot the location where you are interested in. Find the latitude and longitude markers. Use rulers to make the latitude of your point or draw another line to mark the longitude of the point. Estimate the latitude and longitude of your point and then put measurements together to determine the coordinates. We have a note below which is stated that the latitude is written first and must always include north or south of the equator, and then the longitude is written next and must always include east or west of the prime meridian. Let us apply those skills in locating places on Earth. Our first task is to find x. Here's x, and its latitude is 40 degrees above or below the equator. Correct? Above, which means its direction is going to north. And then our longitude, we have 100 west. Why? Because it is located in the western hemisphere or left of prime meridian. Of the plus sign, we have here 20 degrees north. And how about its longitude? 80 degrees west. We have again the heart now. We have the 10 degrees south because it is located below the equator by 10 degrees. And we have 60 degrees west. It is located 60 degrees away from the reference point, which is the prime meridian. Next is the square. We have 60 degrees north and 60 degrees east. Why east? Because it is from the right of the prime meridian. Lastly, we have the triangle. Triangle is 25 degrees south and 140 degrees east. Now that you're adept with locating places on Earth, let's have a recap of our lesson. We have the difference of global and postal address. The difference of global and postal address is the global address consists of latitude and longitude, while the postal address is consists of the name of the places. Imaginary line is used to locate places on Earth. It has the latitude and the longitude. Latitude is the fixed point is equator, which is 0 degrees. Longitude, the fixed point is the prime meridian, which is again 0 degrees. We have the equator, which divides the Earth into northern and southern hemisphere, which has the tropics and the arctics. The prime meridian, which bisects the Earth into western and eastern hemisphere. And lastly, how to locate places on Earth. We locate places on Earth by getting the intersection of the altitude and the longitude. That's all for this video lesson. See you again to the next one. Thank you and bye bye.